What up? I'm B and welcome to my channel where we talk about all things true crime and current events. Hope you're having a great Thursday so far, and I hope you are excited to do another deep dive into a current true crime case with me. If you are in here, say hi. We'll let people have just a few minutes to get in here, say what's up, get caught up with each other, and then we will go ahead and get started. So, say what's up, Squirrel Lock. Hi, how are you? Hope you are having a good day today. Trying to see. Make sure everything is good on here. We're just gonna give people a few minutes to come in, come say hi, say what's up, and then we will get diving into this case. I am really excited to look into the update that we're doing today. It's super interesting. I've got some really cool things to look into and talk about. It'll be really exciting. Baby Bunny says, hey, happy to catch a stream so early. Yay, I'm glad you're here. Hi, Avalon. Hi, Sarah Rose. So we'll go ahead. We'll just wait another minute or two, and then we will get into it. So you guys having a good week so far? It's almost the weekend. I'm super excited. Hi, Winnie. Squirrellock said, work was busy. It's better with Animal Crossing and food. Hope you're having a good day. I am. Thank you. Yesterday was supposed to be like our busiest day at work. It's the first of the month is always just super busy. And we're all like quarantined. We're all working from home. But I had to go into the office yesterday. And I usually don't leave until like 7 or 8 on the first day of the month, and I left at like 4. I was like, I think because so many people weren't there, I was able to get a lot of the stuff that I needed to get done quicker, and it was amazing. But, okay, while we're waiting for a few more people to come in, I just want to put this out here. I just want to ask, I've seen a lot of people talking about, this isn't an MLM pitch, so don't be scared. But I have seen a lot of people talking about how like now with everything going on, it's the time to like start an online business. It's a time to transition into like e-commerce, online income, stuff like that. And so I was thinking about it, if anyone would be interested, like if you guys are trying to start a YouTube channel or you're thinking about it, I know I have like literally a micro channel, but if you would want like to ask questions, do a Q&A on starting a YouTube channel, let me know. Do like a thumbs up if you would want that. You can put a thumbs down if you're like, no, we don't care, because I'll only do it if some of you guys are considering starting one and you just want like some questions answered. Oh my gosh, that Dimple Harry, thank you. You're so sweet. I am doing well, and I'm glad that you are in here and that you made it. Avalon said, I went on a short walk for the first time in 3 weeks. It was nice. I passed a small steam. That's good. I'm glad that you got to go out on a walk. I know a lot of places, like, they're not letting people necessarily go out. They're kind of like really patrolling, even doing stuff like that. So I am glad that you got to go out there. But, okay, Carolina said, yes, please. Squirrellock said, just do it. Okay. Because, I mean, like I said, I know that I have, like, micro channel, but I am monetized. Like, I get money from YouTube. And so, while it might not be an instant gratification thing for you, e-commerce is a really great thing to look into. It's always great to have multiple streams of income in a non-scammy way. So, I will go ahead, and post like on Instagram where you can send me questions on starting a YouTube channel. It's Inside the Honeycomb, so definitely go over there, follow me there if you want to submit a question to answer, for me to answer about doing that. But okay, let's go ahead and get started. We are going to be doing an update on the Lori Vallow Chad Daybell case, and the developments have been extremely interesting. I did a video on Lori and Chad a few weeks ago just talking about like giving as much of a plain, like, I'm not trying to confuse you, this is exactly the facts of everything, explanation of their past, of what's been going on, all the way up to what it was like the end of February-ish that we were talking about. So I did that video, super interesting. I'm not going to go into everything that we went over in that video, obviously, but I will give just like a brief kind of overview if you haven't really looked into the case or if you're still kind of confused about it, and then we'll talk about the updates. Haley said, "Hi B, I don't usually come to live streams, but you're always so welcoming. I had to join in." You're so sweet. I am glad that you're here, Haley. And Jade said, "Woohoo, I'm here for a live, also working on calculus homework." So fun. If you get distracted, make sure you click out of the live stream and focus on calculus because school is important. But we'll go ahead and just do like a brief overview of it. It's very confusing, but I will try and make it as like plain clothes as I can. Avalon said, "I just watched a video on their case today and I still get lost. The story is so complex." Okay. It really is. Like, it took me, I heard so many different like podcasts on it and news stories and everything, and I was literally still so confused. I feel like I didn't understand the case until I like looked into it enough to make the video about it. So the main players in the case are a woman named Lori Vallow and her husband, Chad Daybell. The reason that they are being looked into is because Lori's kids have been missing since September of last year. Lori initially claimed that they were living with family in Arizona because Lori and Chad live in Idaho. So she was like, "Oh, they're in Arizona, they're with family." Family said, "No, we're the ones who are reporting them missing. We have not seen them." And so the police ended up getting a warrant to like go back and search the house. And when they came back the next day to execute that warrant, Chad and Lori had gone to Hawaii. And nobody knew that they were in Hawaii. They just dipped out. They were like, and the police couldn't find them for over a month. But the reason that it is so much more complex than just that is partly on behalf of both of them. May said, "Hi B, made it just in time." Yay, I'm glad you're here. So we'll go ahead and do brief exploration into Lori real quick, and then we'll do Chad. Lori has been married about 5 times at least. She has had multiple husbands. She has 3 kids. Her oldest kid was with, I'm not sure, his last name is Ryan, so I think he has a different dad than the daughter Tylee, but in any case, they're both, wait, is his last name Ryan? Let me look. It's gonna bug me. So let's see. Look at Colby. Colby's the oldest one. He is, he's not missing. He's talked to his mom about, like, please, okay, yeah. So he's like, "Mom, please tell them where, like, please tell the police where Tylee and JJ are." So Colby has the same last name, Ryan, but he's believed to have a different father. Then there is Tylee. She's 17 years old. She's missing. And then there's JJ. His name is Joshua. He's 7. He has autism, and he is missing as well. He is not Lori's biological son. JJ is adopted on the side of her ex-husband, Charles. So, like I said, Lori's had multiple different husbands. She had a husband named Joseph Ryan. He passed away the year that she married Charles, interestingly enough. And then she ended up marrying Charles, and they adopted JJ, who was Charles's sister's grandson. So he was the great uncle of JJ, and they ended up adopting him. That one loser, Tia. Hi. Avalon said, "I'm always surprised with the audacity she had to flat out lie to the police and say they were with family." Right. It's just like, I mean, I guess that's the least surprising thing because of everything else that's happened. But so anyway, husband Joseph died. Husband Charles, in July of 2009 of last year, 2019, in July, Lori's brother Alex killed Charles, killed her husband. And the reason that supposedly happened was Charles and Lori were going to get a divorce. Lori had become really hyper-religious. She was talking a lot about like the end of days, the end time. She was being really sneaky, just getting very sinister with her religion and with her beliefs. And so Charles wanted a divorce. He also at one point said that he thought that she might try to kill him. And then eventually he was like, well, I guess we'll try and make it work. Like, I'll see if we can make it work. They were still living separately, though. He was paying for her house, and one day he went to go get the kids. And when he did, supposedly they got into an altercation. Allegedly, Charles went after Lori with he went after Alex with a bat. Alex is Lori's brother. Tried to attack Alex, and then Alex shot him. Allegedly. I feel like he probably wasn't going after Alex with a bat. Basically, the kids were there, and Charles seemed pretty reasonable to me. I don't know why he would go after Alex if he's fighting with Lori. It doesn't make sense. Anyway, July, he passes away. August. Lori, Tylee, and JJ, the two kids, and then Lori's brother Alex moved to Rexburg, Idaho. They were originally living in Arizona. Now they've moved up to Idaho. And then then September of last year is the last time anyone saw the kids. In September was the last time anyone saw Tylee or JJ. And so people are getting kind of suspicious. They're like, where are your kids? We haven't seen them in forever. And Lori's not concerned, not saying anything, not giving the police any information. But then in December of 2019, Alex, her brother, was found unresponsive and eventually pronounced dead. And the police haven't said what that's from, how he died, if it was natural causes, if it was homicide, nothing. But I think they're trying to keep things pretty quiet right now while they're still doing the investigation into everything else. So, that's Lori's side. I know it's confusing. If you have any questions, if you need clarification, leave a comment. I will do my best to clarify the story. But that's Lori's side. Now we have Chad's side. Oh, Avalon said, isn't there a cop saying 2 times is a coincidence, 3 times is a pattern? Sounds familiar to me. So, okay. Chad's side. Chad is an author and a religious figure. Their, overarching religion is Mormonism, but it is a very extreme sect of Mormonism that is very much obsessed with, the apocalypse, with ushering in the 144,000 into heaven, the end of times, doomsday, all of that. And he's, like I said, he's an author. He went on a lot of podcasts called Preparing a People. He was in a ton of online forums for end of days, for prepping for the end times, stuff like that. He and Lori did meet online and had some kind of friendship that Charles, Lori's ex-husband, who was murdered by Lori's brother, knew about. He knew that they were emailing back and forth, and he was like, I don't like this, it's weird. But so anyway, they meet, they chat, they apparently find some sort of connection, but not a lot of people know about it. And then in September of last year, the same month that Lori's kids went missing, Chad told a friend of his who is from one of the Doomsday forums that he has a destiny that he needs to fulfill, and he feels like the only way that can happen is if his wife of 30 years and the mother of his children is dead. So that's kind of unsettling. And then just 2 weeks later, in October it was like October 19th, Tammy, his wife, dies. So she's dead. It was of natural causes. There was no autopsy, nothing. But 2 weeks later, Chad and Lori so Chad lives in Rexburg, Idaho as well. Like Lori, basically what it seems like, moved up to be with him. But 2 weeks after Tammy's death, they go to Hawaii and get married. And then they come back, and then that's kind of when the investigation starts, when when the kids are really being noticed that they're missing. And so that's basically when the police come. They say, oh no, they're in Arizona. Family says, no, they're not in Arizona with us. And then Chad and Lori fled to Hawaii. They have since been found. Chad Daybell is not facing any charges as of yet, but Lori is being charged with a litany of different things, but mostly desertion of a dependent. And the thing is, like, no one knows where their kids are. Lori does not seem concerned about her kids whatsoever. She will not say anything when when reporters try and talk to her. She's just like, oh shoot, doesn't say anything. And it's mildly infuriating, but she has been extradited back to Idaho from Hawaii, and she should be going into court soon, hopefully. Like, I think kind of the current state of the world is gonna maybe put a bit of a delay on that, but she'll be facing her court date soon enough, I would assume. We'll just have to wait and see what happens, but that's basically the background that you need to get caught up to where we're at right now. Do you have any questions about the base story, like the basics of this, of the religion, of her marriages, stuff like that, before we get into the more recent developments? I'll go ahead and give you guys a minute or so just to get anything in that you might have a question about. Liz said their family tree is so confusing. I'm my own grandpa. It literally is. Like, I watched Bailey Sarian's video on it, and she literally has like a little board. Like, everyone was doing the memes of Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and I'm like, that's exactly what she looks like. She like gave up on doing her makeup halfway through. Her hair's in a bun, and she's just like, like it cracked me up. That's one of my favorite videos of hers. Oh, Baby Blue said, I wonder if Lori is sitting in prison thinking that all this coronavirus is the end of days. Oh my gosh, she might be. And May said the same thing, basically. The sad thing is this whole pandemic is probably giving her a sense of validation in her whole end of times view of things. And South of Grace said, hey everybody. Hi. Okay, so it looks like we don't have any questions. We're all kind of clear on the base story. Liz was thinking the same thing. You guys are all on the same page. That's so funny. Okay. So we're all kind of on, like, we've got the understanding. We know the basics of the case. You guys, some of this stuff is crazy. Some of the stuff, like the articles that we're going to look at, I'm going to show you some of the things that I found, and then it'll just be kind of like the last time we did this. I'll show you what I have, and then if there are any other sources or videos or anything like that that you want to look into, let me know, and we'll take a look at them. But let's go ahead and just get set up for this. Okay, I want to start. here. Okay, because this is like the oldest update. Let's go ahead and get you there. Okay. So, Lori Vallow Daybell's attorneys withdraw from case. Prosecutor files discovery documents. And basically what is happening is she has three. This is three. This is not three. She has 3 lawyers, and 2 of them are like, I can't do it. Supposedly, 2 of Lori Vallow Daybell's 3 lawyers have withdrawn themselves from the case, but why they've dropped out is a mystery. They were representing Vallow Daybell as she faces charges of abandonment of her daughter, 17-year-old Tylee Ryan, and adopted son, 7-year-old Joshua J.J. Vallow. Both are missing out of Rexburg, Idaho, and have not been seen since September. And then this is part of the document submitted by one of the lawyers as a request to withdraw. It says, good cause exists for granting this motion based upon the standards set forth in the Idaho Criminal Rules and Idaho Rules of Professional Conduct. The document states counsel cannot reveal more information than this without disclosing privileged attorney-client communications. Oh, I want to pull something up real quick. Hold on. I'm going to hide this for a second. I forgot. I got a second screen, and it's literally wild. Okay. Hi, Justice Underwood. Hi, Rhiannon. Okay, I want to be able to see everybody's comments. So there we go. Perfect. Okay. There we go. Now we should be good. Now I can see you guys. I can see your comments, and it's not obstructing the screen. So, this is from March 20th. There have been a ton of discoveries since then. People are literally talking about, like, just really crazy things. Multiple more people being involved in the case. And then some other family members have come out and started talking about it. So 2 of her attorneys withdrew, and then additionally her bond is down to $1 million, but she's not been able to get out of jail. It says, despite the new bond of $1 million, Vallow Daybell has not been able to get out because bond companies would not work with her. Avalon said, I wonder if the lawyers know what she actually did and don't think they can make her case in court, and that's why 2/3 dropped it. It might be. I mean, the thing about lawyers is, like, lawyers are going to defend whoever's going to pay them, you know, in most cases. So I feel like it has to be, like, bad. Because they said, you know, they can't give more information because it would violate attorney-client privilege. So it's just like, I wonder if they're like, you're going to have to pay us a lot more than this, or we're not defending you, or if they have, like, a moral objection to defending her. But unfortunately we won't be able to know, but that's an interesting thought, Avalon. So apparently they have security videos from Yellowstone Park, which is where the kids were, like, not last seen, but it's the last, like, confirmed sighting of the kids. And then yeah, they went on September 8th, but the kids weren't reported missing until, like, the end of the month, so they could have been seen in between that time. But they've got a ton of different security footage that they're looking at, and this is just seeing what other documents they're going to be going over. I do have some court documents that we're going to look at, which is super interesting. Yeah, we'll get into all that later. And then, so this is talking about Ian Pulowski, who is Lori's niece Melanie's new husband. So Lori has a niece, Melanie. She was married to a guy named Brandon. They got divorced, I think, last year. And then she married a new guy named Ian. And Ian has come out a little bit and is just kind of like, I'm in over my head here. I'm a little bit concerned. Melanie supposedly shared a little bit about her like more extreme beliefs, but didn't get too much into it. So he's just kind of like, I don't know what to believe. I don't know who I can trust in this family, if it's dangerous or what. But this is from Ian, where he's talking about Melanie, his new wife. He said she shared concerns that she's been told Brandon, her ex-husband, needed to die, and that may indicate that Tylee and JJ needed to die as well. She told me she was worried that Alex Cox, which is Lori's brother, who killed her husband Charles, may have had to take care of the kids. She explained that Alex had great faith and never wavered in his trust in the Lord. No task would be too difficult or too great for him. And this is something that a lot of people are focusing on, the fact that Lori has said that people can like become zombies, like their bodies can be possessed by spirits, and once that happens, they're no longer human, so they need to be removed, which is terrifying. My biggest thing when I first made my video about this was knowing what I know about true crime. I'm like, the kids are gone. Like, they just are. No one's found them yet. No one's seen them since September. They're gone. But another part of me, I don't know what part of me this is like, okay, well, if she's super religious and she thinks the end of times is coming, like the end of days are approaching, wouldn't she want to keep her kids safe? Like, wouldn't she want to put them somewhere? Like, maybe she's hiding them. Maybe she's holding them somewhere. And that's why no one's seen them, because she's trying to protect them. But I don't know. Shoot me your opinion on that. Do you think which is more likely, that they're gone or that she's hiding them to protect them? Because I, like, as terrible as it would be to be in like isolation wherever they are for months on end, I would so much rather them be hidden away than gone. But I don't know how likely that is. JJ, he requires daily medication, but no one has said so far what it's for. A lot of people are saying like, oh, he needs like medication for autism, but that's not a thing. He has autism and he needs medication, but the medication doesn't, there's no like pill treatment for autism. So I'm like, it could be a vitamin that he takes every day, or it could be something really serious. So he hasn't had medication since September, and he had a service dog that ended up getting returned. Sarah says, oh, they're gone. Luis Gardo Cruz says gone. Yeah. I think one of the things that's most just baffling to me is the fact that Lori's not saying anything. She's not pretending to be sad. Like, she told the lie that they were in Arizona, but then after that, she hasn't said anything. Like, she's just literally not, she's not saying anything. She's not giving anybody any indication of like, oh, they're, you know, they're somewhere safe, they're gone. Like, she's literally not saying anything. And it's like leaving us to grasp at straws and just wonder what her angle is, because if they're gone because of some sort of religious thing, wouldn't she want to say like, the end of times are coming, I had to protect them? Like, you know, when people get like religious mania like that, I don't know. South of Grace said it's more likely they're gone, especially considering the deaths surrounding the family. Absolutely. Baby Blue said she seems so cocky that it makes me think that they're alive and she's just hiding them away. Also, my son has autism, and as you said, there are no meds for autism. I wonder if that could be part of it, Baby Blue. Like, if they are alive and she's literally like thinking that she's doing the right thing by hiding them, and she's like, they've got nothing on me, I didn't do anything to my kids. But at the same time, like, she's literally going to court because they said, like, just give us proof that your kids are healthy and safe and alive, and you won't have any charges placed against you. So, interesting. Avalon said the daughter's in high school, or should be. I don't think someone that age would go so willingly unless brainwashed or manipulated. Yeah, well, I've been looking at pictures of, like, Tylee and JJ. And here's the thing. Like, yeah, brothers and sisters fight, but the pictures that I've seen of Tylee and JJ together, I'm like, she loves her brother. And if something was threatening him, she would go. Like, she absolutely would. I have, my brother has autism and brain damage, and if I was with him and someone was, like, threatening him or saying, like, he's coming with me, I'd be like, okay, well, I'm going too. Like, you know, if someone tried to, like, kidnap him, I'd be like, you're taking me too. Good luck getting him to go willingly, but like, I would do anything in my power to protect him. So the only thing I can think of is whatever, like, even if Tylee wanted to fight what was happening, she would have done whatever it took to keep JJ safe, which is not a decision that you should have to make at 17. Rhiannon said, it's so bizarre that Lori has this messiah complex, but she's the most zombified person in this whole mess, right? Squirrellock said maybe she thinks God already knows, so it doesn't matter what we think. Could be. Like, she just is on a different metaphysical plane, thinking like, oh, this stuff doesn't matter, like the earth doesn't matter. Liz said, I would be amazed if they're still alive. That would be a big plot twist. That's my hope. I know realistically it's very, like, statistically not very probable, but I'm like, please let those kids be okay. They just look so sweet. Samantha said, some people have said that they were gotten rid of because they were witnesses to other murders. I heard that too, that was a possibility. Because, I mean, they were in the house when Alex, Lori's brother, killed Charles, her husband. And so they very likely could have seen something. And Lori didn't want them to ruin her fun, I guess. If that's what happened. But so that was, like, the oldest news, I think, on March 20th, that 2 of her lawyers withdrew. And then this is from, like the 27th-ish. It says, email from Chandler PD. Detective suggests Lori Vallow could be indicted in her ex-husband's death. Carolina said, I agree with you, B. I also have a brother with autism, and I would do anything to protect him. Right, like, that's just how, like, siblings stick together for sure, but when you have that, like, that bond, you're like, anything you want to do to him, like, you're gonna have to handle me. You're gonna have to deal with me. And so I could 1000% see, like, Tylee going willingly to protect JJ instead of, like, trying to cause a scene or disrupt something to keep him safe. Hi, Courtney. So, this is just talking about how Charles, her ex-husband, was shot in Chandler back in 2019. That's Arizona, just south of Phoenix. And then this is talking about the fight that I basically told you about. Oh, apparently, after Alex shot Charles, he performed CPR on Vallow until emergency crews arrived at the scene. So nice. So kind of him. And here's the 2 kiddos, Tylee and JJ. And I'm trying to see where the new information is. Okay, meanwhile, the case surrounding Charles Vallow's shooting death remains open, and police have never said outright that Lori has ever been a suspect. However, according to an email from a Chandler police detective, there may be justice for Vallow. Fox 10 obtained the email from a source which was originally sent by Nathan Moffat on March 24th. The email reads in part, "We continue to work on Charles's case and are confident we are getting closer to Lori. to getting Lori indicted for her involvement in Charles's death. The email went on to say that the email's intended recipient can contact Moffat to discuss any concerns the person may have. Cheryl Wheeler, who is Charles's ex-wife and is the mother of his 2 sons. Oh, that's another thing. This was like a messed up part that I just didn't include in my first video because I was like, I'm trying to stick to like the most minimal amount of facts as I can. Lori texted Charles's kids and was like, oh, by the way, your dad's dead. And like didn't even have the common decency to be like, hey, can you come over? I need to talk to you. Literally texted them that their dad died, which is just horrifying and so bizarre. Luis Gardo Cruz says, also with the possessed information, I don't know if it's true, people have been talking about she most likely got rid of them thinking they were no longer her kids, and that's why she doesn't show emotion. Yeah, we're going to get into that part a little bit deeper in just a bit here. But Cheryl Wheeler, who is Charles's ex-wife and is the mother of his 2 sons, does not buy the current accounts surrounding her ex-husband's death. He's not a violent human being, said Wheeler. Number 2, Alex would have at least passed out, if not dead. I think she means like if Charles did go after him with that bat, like, because the thing is, like, Alex didn't have any any markings, any bruises, any trauma from being attacked with a bat, so fishy. But then, according to police, Lori left the scene of the shooting driving off with JJ and Tylee in Vallow's rental car, only to return a bit later. Wheeler still remembers Lori's demeanor as seen on footages taken by a body camera. Lori's reaction was unfortunately not surprising to me because that's Lori, said Wheeler, who says she wants closure and answers on the death of her husband. Huh. Okay, bye, Justice. I'll see you later. May said that texting thing makes it extra shady in my opinion. Do you mean how they were like texting people from Tylee's phone? So, looks like they might be charging Lori in Rexburg, Idaho for the kids and then potentially bringing her back to Arizona for charging her with whatever they're going to charge her with in relation to the death of Charles. Apparently, Sergeant Jason McClemens issued a respond which reads, the investigation is still ongoing and detectives have and still are working hard to determine what exactly occurred on the day of Charles's death. I don't want to speculate on the content of the email as I am not familiar with it and unable to speak with Detective Moffat. That being said, upon conclusion of any criminal investigation, the case is sent to a prosecuting agency for review and criminal charging. Quite often, the officer or detective will work with the prosecuting agency when this occurs. Ooh, and apparently they're not going to Idaho to question Lori at this time. Salvo Grace said, I like how they end it with, we're not looking at her ex-husband's death, but then again, this was 12 or so days ago. I think they're just trying not to, like, put too much out there, like, show too much of their hand. Like, I think it's, I mean, the thing is, like, with everything going on now, I understand them not traveling, but they should make a plan to, like, go talk to her about it. Oh, May, you're talking about how she texted the kids about their dad's death. Right. Like, who does that? What kind of person does that? Avalon said her brother was so calm on the phone, and when the cops came after, he acted like he was getting a ticket, not being asked about shooting someone. Right. Like, both of them were acting super weird. If I had witnessed a death, even if it wasn't, like, even if it was accidental, even if, oh, they were fighting, things got out of hand, now someone's dead, even if it wasn't my husband, if it was just somebody else, I would be freaked out. And I can't even imagine how upset I would be if it was someone in my family. And the thing is, like, you could say, like, oh, they had a bad relationship, whatever, between Charles and Alex. But Lori has another brother named Adam. And Charles and Adam were still close at this time. Like, he was literally emailing Adam a few days before he died. And so it's not like Charles is this horrible human being and everyone's glad he's dead. He was a decent guy. And so it's just interesting. Like, I'm stunned at the fact that neither of them were absolutely freaking out. So, they haven't charged her yet, but I think people want to get her. I think in Arizona, they're like, maybe not the people in charge, but the people investigating are like, she's sketchy, we gotta get her. I think it'll just have to wait a little bit because of everything going on. So, oh, this is another one. This is Lori, if you haven't seen her. That's what she looks like. That's Chad, her new husband. Vallow pictured with her fifth husband, Chad Daybell, could be indicted in relation to the death of her ex-husband. Avalon said, if I killed someone even in self-defense, I would be freaking out and crying. Right, like, the thought of, like, taking another human life or seeing another human life get taken is so foreign to me that, like, I might go into shock. I'm very much the person that when, like, crazy things happen, I tend to kind of withdraw. But literally, supposedly, like, she just looked super normal and not too upset, not too, because you can tell when someone's in shock. Wasn't showing signs of it, nothing. Liz said they probably weren't freaking out because death is so common around her. She is obsessed with it. Okay. So, I was wondering, I was like, why do I have two of the same article? This is why. So, last week, East Idaho News revealed that a wedding ring may play a key part in authorities' investigations. The wedding ring, a size 4, tiny little hands to have a size 4 wedding ring. Sterling silver, southwestern style malachite was purchased on Amazon for $35.99 on October 2nd, 2019, 17 days before Chad Daybell's previous wife, Tammy, mysteriously passed away in her sleep. 17 days. Hi, Spencer. So, literally, they bought the wedding ring. And that's the thing, like, they didn't initially do an autopsy on Tammy, but they have exhumed her body, and they're looking into it because he literally said, like, my life's purpose cannot be fulfilled until she's dead. A few weeks later, she dies. And then 2 weeks later, he gets married in Hawaii to a woman whose kids haven't been seen since September. I feel like they both think that everyone around them is stupid. Like, how are you gonna be that coincidental and not think that someone's gonna look into it or, like, have a problem with the way things were done or see something fishy, you know? South of Grace said, oh, he totally murdered her. I mean, everyone's innocent until proven guilty. This is all alleged. But, right? Like, there's no way that he didn't have a part in it or do something to her, knowing that he bought a wedding ring for Lori. Oh, no, Lori bought the ring. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it says it right there. Lori bought the ring 2 weeks before Tammy died. That makes it worse. Because, like, yeah, she probably did something to her kids, but also to know that you're about to marry someone who has, in theory, agreed to kill his wife? you're now becoming the wife. It's like that thing of they say, like, how they got you is how they'll lose you. It's like you never want to date somebody who's with someone else because they're cheating on their spouse, and then they're probably going to cheat on you with somebody else because that's how you guys got together. He's literally, allegedly, making a plan, or agreeing at least, to murder his wife. And then you're going to marry him? What? Squirrel said it was Carol Baskins. She took a red eye from Florida. Oh my gosh. Y'all are too much. Liz said plot twist, it was Carol Baskin. Oh. It's so crazy how they got that ring before Tammy died. When are they going to release how Tammy passed? We need to know. Man, I don't know. I feel like they're probably going to keep as much information as possible quiet, just because, like, the way that, like, media works, I think they want to just keep everything so that way it doesn't, you know, further contaminate a jury pool. Courtney said, isn't there a thing where spouses can't testify against each other or something like that? Spencer said, Courtney, I think it's they don't have to. I might be wrong. Yeah, so I mean, they could, from my understanding of the law, like, Spence, I think you're right. If they wanted to, they could testify against each other, but probably the reason that they got married so quickly is so they could not be compelled to testify against each other. That makes sense. Oh my gosh. South of Grace said, Lori used her dead husband Charles' account to buy the ring. So morbid. Literally gross. Exclusive wedding photos of Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell. Lori, whose hand is pictured above on her wedding day, paid for the ring on her deceased husband's Amazon account. The ring was to a Rexburg, Idaho townhouse, which is where they moved after Lori's brother killed her husband, Charles. Moved from Chandler to Rexburg, to a Rexburg, Idaho townhouse, and was in the name of Charles Vallow, despite Lori's husband being shot and killed months earlier. Disgusting. A source told local reporters that Lori Vallow still used Charles' account after he died. Like, that's just sick. Because I get, like, if your spouse legitimately died of, like, natural causes or of old age or got sick and passed away, it might take you a while to, like, update the Amazon. I could see that, but knowing that she was there when he was murdered by her brother, it's just like, ugh. And then on Chad's end, he received a whopping $430,000 from several policies. This is something I want to know. I mean, I guess you wouldn't have to report it, but anyone who has multiple life insurance policies is planning to murder their spouse. That's just what it is. Like, why do you need multiple life insurance policies? Because, I mean, I guess I could see having, like, a personal one, and, like, maybe if your work supplies one. Well, no, because it wouldn't even be on your spouse. It would be on you. Like, my job supplies a life insurance policy for me, and then, like, my husband's supplies one for him. So it's not like he could get a life insurance policy from a business on her. It's literally all personal life insurance policies is what it would have to be, right? Spencer said, when were those policies taken out? Good question. Oh my gosh. Okay. Court documents show, but he allegedly upped the price and rushed her funeral. The writer, who penned apocalyptic novels for a Mormon audience, reportedly made significant increases to at least one policy, multiple sources told the East Idaho News. Excuse me? A former confidant of Daybell revealed he predicted his wife would die months before, and reports say he rushed her funeral arrangements. Oh, this is the part that I saw before. Guys, it was really weird because the casket wasn't even there, an unnamed man told East Idaho News. It all came together so quick and felt rushed. There weren't a lot of people at the service. They were married for 30 years. And I get, like, he probably killed her. He probably didn't love her. But how do you think that is going to look to the public? Like, how do you think that makes sense for you to do? This isn't me saying, like, here's tips on how to get away with killing your spouse. But these are just, like, the questions I'm inclined to ask. The casket wasn't even there. Like, you guys were in such a rush to get to Hawaii and get married. Hawaii, why? I don't know. Lori had taken, like, multiple vacations with Charles, and they even lived there for a bit before moving back to Arizona. But, like, you literally couldn't wait. Like, you couldn't give her a proper honoring of her life. I just don't get it. And there's Tylee and JJ. See, like, she loved her brother. And that's Charles and Lori together. Evelyn said they feel so obvious about it, like you're not even trying to pretend you care about her enough to bury her body with respect. Right, like, you literally are proving, like, how sketchy you are. I just don't get it. Another friend of Daybell's told the publication his children weren't happy about his speedy second marriage. So those are, like, Tammy and Chad's kids. I wouldn't be happy either. I'd be like, what? Safa Grace said, I can't wait for the Dateline episode on the podcast about them. If it's already happened, I need to listen. I heard that they took those episodes that had Charles had Chad in them down real quick, because he was on a lot of different episodes of this podcast, and they were just like, oop, connected to some sketchy stuff, gotta take those down. Yeah, so this is just a basic timeline talking about the death of Charles. Yeah, Vallow reportedly believes she is, and this is something that Charles was talking about, that he was, like, sketched out about when he initially started filing for divorce. Vallow reportedly believes she is a god assigned to carry out the work of the 144,000 at Christ's second coming in July 2020, according to divorce documents Charles Vallow filed before his death. Vallow is next due in court on May 7th. Let's hope that happens. I know that a lot of things are kind of, like, slowing down or not happening on schedule. We kind of talked about this with Gannon Stauk and Letitia, his stepmom, how things are probably going to be a bit delayed. So hopefully by May they can at least, like, go back to court. Courtney said, there are so many ways they could have done all this and just have suspicion over them. Instead, it just seems obvious that they did it. They clearly thought ahead, yet they didn't time it out right. Right? Like I said, not trying to, like, give people crime tips, but come on. Like, you put a lot of thought into this. He made his entire living talking about end of times. Like, he's an author. He knows what planning looks like. This is what you do? Avalon said, you know it's bad when someone thinks they're God. Literally. Ugh. There's Lori and JJ in Yellowstone. This is one of the last times and places that the kids were seen. It looks like that's all that's in the article. Man, this is literally just the most wild story. And like I said, the most infuriating part for me is that she's not even talking. Like, she's just not saying anything. And so it really just kind of leaves you in this, like, limbo where you don't know what angle to approach this at, if it makes sense. Like, you don't know if she is, like, suffering from some sort of mental illness or religious mania, or if she's just cold-blooded and didn't want her kids anymore, or if this hyper-religion thing is just an act, or what. Like, there's so many different possibilities of what it could be, and I hate not knowing. Like, I hate unsolved cases. They bug me. So many people do, like, Unsolved, and it's, like, a really popular series on their channel, but I'm like, I'm just angry now, because we don't know who did it. We don't know how it happened. We don't know why. I'm so nosy, though, so it makes sense that I don't like unsolved cases, because I'm like, I want to know everything. So, there's that one. And then, let's see. Let's do this one first. Liz said, what if she is God? She gonna be real mad at me for the stuff I said. Fingers crossed. Spencer said, if they're convinced that it's the end of the world in a few months, maybe they genuinely don't care. Like, maybe they think things will just end and nothing matters to them now. Like, I can see that. Like, if she legitimately has this belief that the world is ending, like, in July, it's coming, I can see that angle. But if that's legitimately what it is, why are they putting so much effort into running from the police or, like, not saying what happened? You know, if the world's literally ending and you're just like, well, it's over now, like, I'm about to take my role on as a god who's gonna usher people into heaven, why, I don't know, why keep your mouth shut? Why not say, like, this is what's happening, I want to spread my gospel? You know, like if you really think the world is ending and you have the answers to eternal life, why not share it? Why be so secretive? Why not say anything? Unless she's like, the world is ending, but I'd love to spend my last few months outside of jail. Spencer said, I too hate an unsolved case. I will literally sit there trying to solve it. Right? I'm like, if I just watch one more YouTube video, I bet I could figure it out. It's like with Jean-Benet Ramsey. I'm like, oh, maybe this YouTuber figured it out. It's one of the most notorious unsolved cases, but maybe they got the secret. Avalon, that's what I'm saying. She said, or she thinks because the world is ending, she's saving them from pain by killing them. But if she's God, why wouldn't she admit it? Be proud and out loud. Right, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think they think it's the end of the world. They're trying to keep themselves out of jail. That's why they ran to Hawaii. That's why she's not saying anything, because she doesn't want to, like, give any information. I feel like that could make her look even guiltier. That could really, like, what's it called? What's that word? Incriminate. Like, she doesn't want to say anything that could definitively incriminate her. She just, like, I just don't buy it. I don't think that she truly believes in this. I think she likes the idea of believing in it, but if she was really gung-ho for it, she'd be telling people about it. But, what was the title on this one? Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about how she thinks that her kids are zombies now. Nuts. Okay. So this comes from Brandon Boudreau, who is, oh, his name's literally right there. I love how I try to, like, remember everything off the top of my head, and I literally have it right in front of me. Spencer, I don't know about that. Like, if they're trying to stay out of jail, this is just a suggestion. Maybe they should stop killing people. I don't know. That seems pretty far out there. Like, they want to have their cake and eat it too, right? Like, novel concept to not kill people and then you won't go to jail. But it's funny. It's like, they said it on an episode of last podcast on the left. It was like, most people go upwards of 80 years without killing a single person. It's interesting how that happens. But, okay, so Brandon Boudreaux was married to Melanie, who is Lori's niece. They got divorced, and Melanie married a new man named Ian. Ian's ex-wife is named Natalie. And they have kids together, so they talk. Just putting that out there. Okay, so the claims were made in documents filed last week in an Arizona court by Vallow's niece's ex-husband, who has also said his former wife knows the whereabouts of Vallow's children, Joshua and Tylee, who were last seen in September. South of Grace said, "Oh, you're an LPOTL fan. Nice. I love LPOTL. I love them so much." But, I'm like, side note, I'm like, they relaunched their merch store. I think I want to get the Bones in the Chocolate shirt. But, I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Anyway, Brandon Boudreaux made the claims about Vallow's thinking her children were zombies in a court filing connected to his battle with his ex-wife, Melanie Boudreaux Pulowski, over custody of their children, according to East Idaho News, which obtained a copy of the document. The filing includes an alleged conversation that Pulowski's current husband had with his attorneys after meeting with law enforcement. It says Melanie Pulowski told her husband she was concerned about Joshua and Tylee because Vallow and her husband, Chad Daybell, believed their children had been possessed and had become zombies. I mean, they used to. No, they talk. There's court documents of them chatting, so I'm just setting you up to not be like, why are they talking? Oh my gosh. Okay. So Melanie told Brandon, her ex-husband, that Chad and Lori believed that Tylee and JJ had become possessed and become zombies. And then in the court documents, zombies are described as human bodies that have had their original spirits forced from them and have been possessed either by a demon, a disembodied spirit, or a worm or slug. She shared concerns that she's been told Brandon needed to die, and that may indicate that Tylee and JJ needed to die as well. The document alleges referring to Joshua by his nickname. So basically, Chad and Lori told Melanie, like, your husband's he's not, like, into all this, like, hyper-religious stuff. He's not into the end of days. He's been possessed. We probably have to kill him because he's not Brandon anymore. He's a demon. And so now they're like, okay, well, if they said that about Brandon and said that Brandon might need to die, and they thought the kids were possessed, they probably killed the kids. Like, that's where logic takes us. And then, Melanie allegedly told her husband that she learned about some of these beliefs from a temple and from Vallow and Daybell. The document states Ian Pulowski, her current husband, said the first time he heard about these notions it was a jolt, but he tried to keep an open mind. Literally. So basically, Brandon and Melanie are kind of in like a custody battle, and I feel like he could have come forward with this information a little bit sooner, but he waited until he needed to have some leverage, kind of. Like, I totally believe that this is accurate, but I'm also like, why? Like, why didn't you say this sooner? Why haven't you come forward about this sooner? The kids have been missing since September, and this article was written on March 24th. Like, you you know the kids have been missing. And so I just don't understand why, if he's so concerned about the kids, he didn't come forward sooner. But that's just me. That's just my question. And then this is the last article I want to take a look at. And then I have some court documents that are very interesting. So, new documents entail concerns about Lori and Chad Daybell's missing children. I think this is going to be pretty much like an expansion of the last one, like the last article, if I remember. The legal team representing Melanie Boudreau, Lori Daybell's niece, in a child custody case with Brandon Boudreau, has responded to accusations made by Brandon in recent court documents. So the legal team is saying, once again, Brandon Boudreau has made unsubstantiated and false accusations, many of which are shown by his own submitted materials. Brandon Boudreau included in court documents obtained by ABC 15 an account outlining discussions that had taken place about Chad and Lori Daybell's missing children, as well as the attempt on Brandon's life on October 2nd, 2019. So this is something that's not talked about a lot. Brandon was driving home from the gym in October, and somebody shot at him. Like, they had a rifle with a suppressor on it, which, I don't know, it makes me laugh that they're like, oh, it had a silencer. People who use guns know that just kind of mutes, like, makes it not so much of a boom. It kind of makes it a little bit more muted, but it's still loud when you fire a shot with a silencer or a suppressor on it. But so yeah, someone had a rifle, they put a suppressor on it, they shot at Brandon while he was in his car, and he ended up being fine, but the car that was taking a shot at him was the Jeep that Charles had been renting. So, still a right. South of Grace said silencers aren't like silencers in the movies. Right, like it's not like a pew, like it's still loud. And Spencer said still a rifle? Yeah, literally a rifle from a car shooting at another car. And it was the Jeep that Charles had been renting. Keeping in mind though, this is in October and Charles rented that back in July. So, it's just another thing of like, how are you so dumb that you're taking Charles's rental car, someone who is dead, out on the streets and shooting at somebody from it? I don't know. Luckily, Brandon was not hit. He survived. But I'm still sketched on Brandon because I don't know why he didn't come forward sooner. But I'm not trying to judge. But I am a little bit. So, the account is reportedly from Ian Pulowski, Melanie's current husband. They were married in late November. According to the documents, Melanie told Ian that Brandon had been possessed by a demon or another dark entity, and she was told that something needed to happen to him in order for his spirit to progress and for the Lord's plan to continue. Ian continues. Melanie shared the idea that Chad and Lori could have directed Alex Cox to take a shot at Brandon. People are assuming that this was Alex who did that, which, because of the police report, they think it was Alex, and it makes sense to me that it would be because he killed Charles. But also, I think it just shows kind of how cold-blooded Lori may be, because clearly she has her brother doing this dirty work for her, and then somebody killed him in December. Like, I want to know how that happened. They literally haven't released any information, and I get it. But I'm just like, man, that's how you repay him? Like, your brother did all this for you, and I don't buy the fact that it's just a coincidence he died. And then, so this is from Ian as well. Melanie, so we have from Brandon and from Ian. Melanie had been told by Chad and Lori that her children had been possessed and had become zombies. She shared concerns that she's been told Brandon needed to die, and it may indicate that Tylee and JJ needed to die as well. She told me she was worried that Al might have had to take care of the kids. She explained that Al had great faith and never wavered in his trust in the Lord. No task would be too difficult or great for him. Ugh. Spencer said he kind of seems like their little hitman. Right, like that's what you call Alex for. Someone's got to die. Call up Alex. The thing is, like, I hate the fact that they're using religion as a way to, like, justify everything. Because, like, that's what people do all the time, is, like, say that their beliefs justify their hate or justify the horrible things they've done. And in some cases, people do have, like, religious mania where they also have, like, schizophrenia or another mental illness that plays into it, and that they can't necessarily control. They should go to psychiatrists and a therapist to get it under wraps, but that is a legitimate thing. With most of these people, I'm just like, just say that you were sick of your kids and you wanted to get rid of them, or you want to murder people and that's why you're doing this. Like, people want to do the most hateful, disgusting stuff, but then say, like, oh, well, it's not me, it's God. And that personally bugs me. It's like, own your stuff. Like, own it. This is what you wanted to do. Just be straight up. And then Melanie Pulaski's attorney, Garrett Smith, said, she has never been part of a cult. She may understand some of the extremist beliefs of her aunt, Lori Vallow, and Chad Daybell, but that does not mean that she's adopted those beliefs as her own. Melanie does not judge those who accept those extremist beliefs, like she does not judge you or me for what we believe. Melanie holds on to her core beliefs as an active member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Bro, you support your aunt. Like, you should be judging her for that. And then, I mean, this is just them going back and forth, basically saying Brandon is using these claims to try and get custody of the kids. Melanie's never been involved in anything. Maybe she knows about some of the crazy stuff, but that's not on her. Just kind of basically going back and forth saying that Brandon's lying and trying to use this in their custody hearing and stuff like that. But this is the last thing I wanted to take a look at, and we'll try and go through them pretty quick because I know we've been on here for a while. But this is super interesting. These are some of the court documents that were submitted, and the reason that these pictures are in here is because on October 2nd, when Brandon, Melanie's ex-husband, was being shot at, there's security footage of Lori and another man at a storage unit in Idaho. And so they're like, oh, well, Alex was clearly in Idaho on that day. It couldn't have been him. But they're comparing the pictures between Chad and Alex. Spencer said, you've killed like 6 people. No worries, man. I don't judge. Right. She's like, she doesn't judge anybody for their beliefs. Like, nah, you should probably judge them on that. So, this one is, they're thinking that this is Chad Daybell. This is on, the 2nd. And they're saying that Chad's rolling the tire. And then if you compare it to the next day's footage, there's also security footage of them carrying a tire, and Alex, like, actually picks it up and carries it as opposed to rolling it. And so, yeah, the next day surveillance footage shows a second man visiting the storage unit back in Idaho with Lori around 2:11 p.m. This man, likely Cox, walks differently than Chad and carries the tire out rather than rolling it. I don't know why they've got so many tires going into storage. He also carries the car seat by himself rather than working with her like the day before. And then basically what they were dropping off is Tylee and JJ's stuff. So they think that's Chad. And then this is Alex. See how he's carrying it? And it says, the tire and the seat are noteworthy because many Jeeps have spare tires on their back doors, and rear windows will not open if the tire is attached. When the tire is off, the window opens. It's possible the tire and seat put into the storage unit the day before of the shooting were from the Jeep, and Cox could have been the driver when Boudreaux was shot at. That makes sense. Gosh. Can you imagine that? Like having to be like, oh, let's take this tire over to the storage unit so that way I can make sure that, you know, we can open the back window for this murder that I'm planning. They're saying that that's Cox again. On October 6th, he returned by himself in his silver pickup truck. He went back 5 other times that month, including a visit on October 28th with a man who appears to be Chad. Chad's former wife, Tammy, had died 9 days earlier, and her funeral was held October 22nd. Cox and Daybell stayed 6 minutes and dropped off bikes and other items. Cox can't comment on his visits to the unit because he died suddenly in December. His death is still under investigation. The last time anyone visited the storage locker was November 24th. Lori and Chad Daybell, who had returned to Idaho from their honeymoon, came for 4 minutes and left the personal belongings of JJ and Hailey. They never returned, and Rexburg police have seized all the items in that unit. Man, it's just so upsetting. And I love how they put the question right here. Would Alex Cox have been grabbing Lori's butt on October 2nd? There's an arrow to the butt. Carolina said, just got here. Gosh, I hope there's some good news for this story. I hope so too. I think they're getting closer to finding answers, even if Lori won't talk. But, I mean, that part just makes me laugh. But Alex having grabbing Lori's butt? I hope not. And then here, they're talking about some of like the religious terminology that Lori and Chad believe in. A minimum of 9 mortal lives to become exalted, but more to become gods. After 2 mortal lives, you can choose to sign a light contract or a dark contract. Choosing light or dark isn't permanent, so I guess you can come back as like a good person or a bad person. You can choose not to be reborn if you're satisfied with your progress. The veil grows thinner each time you are reborn. The veil is like separation between like mortal human world and the spiritual world. Multiple sealings possible, but males can choose one true spouse or have many. Sealings are, I don't know 1000%, but they're related to marriage in the Mormon religion. Like when you get married to somebody, you guys are sealed in the temple as long as you're both Mormons, and I'm sure there are other like requirements that you have to have, but that's great. One true spouse or have many. You know something that's interesting? This is kind of like a side note. Within the Mormon religion, they'll like let you get a divorce, but with men, it's like even if their wife divorces them, they get to like, keep them in the afterlife. Like they get to like they get their own planet, and they still get to have those multiple wives because it's like, oh well, you know, we got the divorce, but also you're still mine. It's just super interesting. Okay. And so there are translated, okay, this part is super interesting. So translated beings cannot die, cannot reproduce, do not need sleep or food, and do not feel sorrow of the world. Injury is possible, but healing is accelerated, and it's never fatal. So it's like, this is kind of like a good part of being a translated human, but there are also 50 dark translated humans. And the 2 detectives who are looking into Lori, Detectives Hope and Hermosillo, have been identified as such, meaning they're dark translated humans. Isn't that ironic? That they just happen to be dark translated humans? They work under the direction of Satan, Lucifer, and Cain. Oh man. Look, like, everyone is 1000% entitled to their own religious beliefs, their own faith, their own, like, I don't know, their own religion. Totally, totally cool. But I'm also gonna poke fun at this a little bit because I feel like they're using their religion to justify whatever it is that they've done. And I literally don't feel like they truly believe any of this. I feel like they think it's fun to believe, but come on. The detectives who are looking into you just so happen to be part of Cain's dark translated humans. I don't know about that. And so here are the zombies, the description of that. Courtney said, "Hey, ghouls, the boys are here." So zombies. Human bodies that have had their original spirits forced from them and have been possessed either by a demon, original third of the heavenly host who followed Lucifer, a disembodied spirit, once living human spirits who have chosen not to be reborn into another probation, or a worm/slug, a creature controlled by Lucifer that enters the body to control the host. Spirits can be pushed from their bodies during traumatic events or deadly injury. Spirits pushed out are trapped in limbo as the body they're tied to is still living but cannot be occupied by them anymore. Spirits trapped in limbo cannot progress to a new mortal life and cannot re-enter their existing body. The only way to move forward is to await the death of the current possessed body. This is an illegal action against heavenly law performed by the possessor. So here's the thing. If they're saying that, like, once someone has been possessed, this happens from a traumatic event or a deadly injury, they're just kind of stuck in limbo until their, like, human body, their mortal body dies. What if they, like, created this belief or set this belief up to say they saw, you know, their dad, they saw Charles try and attack me and Alex, tried to kill us, and so they saw that and that was their trauma, and then they got possessed by a demon, a disembodied spirit, or a worm or slug, and so to help them out, we had to murder them. I feel like that could be an angle that they're going for. Yeah. Then all of this is just additional interesting beliefs. Chad and Lori's group specializes in healing and music. As part of the 144,000 who are called to bring to pass all signs of the second coming of Christ. Multiple groups specializing in different powers and activities. So, yeah, they specialize in healing. That's great. There's a patriarchal order of the Holy Melchizedek priesthood, a higher priesthood bestowed to Chad by Peter, James, and John. I don't know if Peter, James, and John are, like, actual people that they know, but those are some pretty prominent figures in the Bible, so that's interesting. Very interesting. More about the dark translated beings. Cain was the first dark being to be translated into this creation and walks the earth with 50 dark translated beings to prevent delay of the Lord's second coming. They believe that, I'm not going to make fun of people's beliefs. They believe that spells and curses in Harry Potter are real and require great focused will to use. Very interesting. Okay, so that's the last part of that I'm going to look at. And then I just want to show these text messages from Natalie, to Natalie from her ex-husband, Ian, who's currently married to Melanie. While I show you that, if there are any other articles or videos or anything like that you want to check out, leave them in the comments, because if not, this is the last thing I have. But so, basically Natalie, was like, I feel like Melanie's up to no good. I feel like she's sketchy. I don't like her, and I don't really want her around my kids. And so she looked into her, And apparently Melanie told Ian, like, don't give my full name to anybody. But eventually he did. And so she, like, freaked out when she looked into Melanie. Ended up calling Ian's mom and told her what she found. And then Ian's mom freaked out. And now they're kind of, like, in this side group, like, talking about the weird things that are going on, the weird, like, theories and beliefs, and also talking to the police. But so Ian says, don't respond. I need you to encourage Brandon. So, Natalie contacted Brandon, Melanie's ex-husband, as well to talk about all this. Don't respond. I need you to encourage Brandon to keep info he gets on the down low until I can get this sorted out. I want to be tough, but I want to help, but it will be tough if every starts figuring out what I'm learning. She didn't know beforehand what was going to happen. They made the attempt, failed, and told her about it after the fact. I understand that he doesn't want the kids around her because of all this, but I believe if she can see them, it will put a huge dent in her trust with her uncles. She's scared and had been told her 2 middle children are dead. She has a family court date on 12/11. I'm trying to get her to go. I don't know if I can convince her to go to the family court hearing on Wednesday. I'm trying, but she got an answer last night from God himself. Her uncles have her so wrapped up, they're telling her she needs to move to Ammon. That's not going to happen because I'm not going to leave Rexburg. They think it has something to do with jurisdiction. Dumbest thing ever. Don't respond. Just wanted to update you earlier because I had a quick second to call. Stay safe. That's about it. This is a letter from Natalie. I'm going to include all the court documents in the description after we end the stream. So if you want to take a look at that, this is just basically her account of why she thinks Melanie is dangerous and doesn't want her around her kids, doesn't want, like, she thinks Melanie knows more than she's talking to the police about and telling people. So I will definitely put it in the description on the re-upload of this so you can read it if you want. But that's pretty much all I've got. We went through a ton of different articles. You guys are real ones for beasting it out and looking through all of this with me. Like I said, if there are any other videos or articles or questions that you have about the case, I have done a ton of digging into it before I even made my first video, so I can try and answer them, or we can look for answers together. Just go ahead and leave them if you have any. I'll give you guys like a minute or so to get them submitted if you have any additional questions, comments, theories, concerns. And I'm going to drink this. Pretty much, those of you who watched my live streams last week know that I had an upper respiratory infection. And I'm pretty much good, but also I still feel very short of breath sometimes, so I'm like, it's like I'm pretty much better, but still just have a little bit of a tough time catching my breath. All right. Let's see. Do we have any comments coming through? Spencer said, I probably missed it, but were there any updates about Charles' death? Only that the police in Chandler, Arizona, are kind of looking into Lori's connection, but also they're not planning on going to Idaho. So, like, they're not going to charge her with anything at this point. They're not gonna, they're not, like, really looking into her, you know. People are concerned. Charles's ex-wife has come out and said that she thinks Lori's super suspicious and very likely involved, but they have not made any charges. They do just kind of think that, like, they're getting close. We read this article, and I'll put it in the description box as well. So, email from Chandler PD detective suggests Lori Vallow could be indicted in her ex-husband's death. We'll see. Said, gosh, it's all so much to take in. Also glad you're feeling better. Thank you. I'm so glad that I'm feeling better. It was rough. I was so mad too though, because my husband got sick and he was sick for like 3 days, and then he was like, oh, I feel better, and I was literally like sick as a dog for a week and a half, and I'm just like, that's not fair. I got sick from you, so thanks. But yeah, I'm feeling so much better. Thank you. And it is definitely a lot to take in. There's just so much information, and I think like it's really detrimental to the case of what actually happened to the kids, how much extra information there is, because like, yeah, it's important to look into everything, but the fact that it's so convoluted, people are getting confused, they're not understanding the real facts of the case. And I know for me, for a little bit, I was just like, oh my gosh, it's so much. Like, I don't even want to look into it because it's so confusing. So, I hope we really do get more to the core of it. Gerardo said, how much of the full story do you personally believe we will learn? Like the conclusion, or that it will only get partially concluded? That's a tough question. I think... I mean, obviously, like, you have the right against self-incrimination in America. Like, you can plead the fifth and not talk. But I feel like once they actually take this to court, we will learn a little bit more about it. Lori kind of has the luxury right now of choosing not to talk. But at some point, she's not going to win a case by not saying anything. Like, she's gonna have to come up with a story about it. And so I think once the trial actually starts, a lot more will come out. And I don't know that we'll ever know like, I think we all kind of believe, I mean, I personally believe that Alex murdered Charles. I don't think that he was defending himself. So I think we know the truth on that, but I don't know if we'll ever get a conviction on that. But with the kids, I do think we'll get more as the trial actually happens. Like, I think someone around them is going to crack. Because you have, you know, they've been missing since September, and people were so quiet for so long, and then now all of a sudden things are coming out. And it may be self-serving that these people are coming to the police and talking about it, but they're still coming. And so the more pressure gets put, the more people realize, like, oh, this is actually real. Like, the world isn't ending in July. There are going to be real life consequences. I think more people will talk. Tanera Bear said, this whole case is such a mess. So many deaths around this woman. Yeah, I don't understand it. I really don't know. Like, I don't know the motivation. I don't know how you can live with yourself knowing that you've orchestrated this, like, all this sadness. And it's just, I really do hope that she talks as we get, like, as the trial starts, and hopefully even before. Carolina said, that's so unfair, it passed so fast for him. I was so mad, dude. And yeah, this case definitely isn't super cut and dry. I'm ready for them to go to court. Her silence about it has always made me kind of mad. That's how I feel too. I'm like, just talk. Like, you did this. You know some part of this. Even if she had absolutely nothing to do with it, why aren't you mourning your kids and being like, help me find my kids? You know? Like, I don't, like I said, I'm super nosy. I hate an unsolved case. I want to know everything all the time about everybody. So cases like this especially get me, like, kind of irritated. I'm like, just talk. You, like, ugh. Just tell us something. Give us something. Even if it's a lie, give us something. Because you made a lot of different things happen, and now you're just sitting there silently, not saying anything. That part makes me mad. Like, you did all this stuff, and now instead of owning it or putting on an act or trying to, like, get people to see things your way, you're just literally doing nothing. But alright, so it looks like that's all the questions we have, all the articles we are looking into. Like I said, that was a lot to look at. So thank you so much for hanging out with me, for beasting it out and going through all this. It was super interesting. Spencer said they seem to inspire everyone around them to do some intense shit. I'm just wondering how Lori and Chad managed to keep everyone in line and convince people to do all this. That's a good question too. Like, yeah, I don't know, man. I think there are some people who just inspire chaos and just inspire bad behavior. And so I think that could be part of it. But I mean, I think eventually, like, people are going to fall out of line. I think Alex, probably, the brother, was possibly getting ready to fall out of line. And that's why he ended up dead. But I don't know, like, every plan like this is gonna fall apart eventually. Like, you can only have a hold on people for so long before something happens. So we'll just have to wait and watch it unfold. But I think that's gonna be it for looking into the case. Like we talked about in the beginning, I'm going to put a community post, and I'm also going to make an Instagram post. If you are thinking of starting a YouTube channel, if you have a ton of extra time, or you're looking for another stream of income and you have questions about getting started, what kind of tech you might need, what kind of software you might need, anything like that, put it on the community tab post or on Instagram. I'm at Inside the Honeycomb. I will put it in the description, and I'll do a Q&A video answering your questions about starting a channel. With all that being said, I am going to go ahead and let you go. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Please be kind to people, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.